are tuned into the Tobago Festivals Network. I am Kimmy. And I am Antonia. And today, you are going to hear the Tobago Blue Food story with Mr. Binley Benjamin and Mr. George Stanley Baird, Mr. Van Dyke Barrington Ned, Casilda Ned Charles, and Mr. Ronald Chance of Lansome. Let's go!
Hi, I'm George Stanley Baird.
And I am the Binley Benjamin.
Well, let's face it, we're here to talk about the Blue Food Festival. And it happened in 1998 as part of a rollout of the Department of Tourism. Binley here was the manager, I was the secretary. And we felt that we needed to do more for the sector and more to integrate the tourism sector with the agricultural sector. At the time, the whole question of the hoteliers and the restaurants on the island were not utilizing the local staples. And as secretary, I felt, look, we could do more to have greater involvement and greater utilization of the local staples, breadfruit, sweet potato, cassava, yam, tanya, dashi in the whole works. The program got Blue Food, the name Blue Food, simply because in Lansome, right, and those areas north were very prolific agricultural areas, and that's where most of the produce and provisions would be grown. So we said, hey, let's try something. Let's go to Lansome and see if we can get the residents to utilize staples to show the hoteliers that we could do a lot more with the staples than they were doing. Did you remember that?
Of course. And then, of course, Blue Food came from dasheen. Locally, we look at dasheen, which when you boil it, it's a blue, you get a blue coloration. So we use that as a theme, the Blue Food Festival. So they'd be able to make very many dishes using the dasheen punch, dasheen wine, whatever.
Pone.
Yeah.
I remember pone.
And as Stan was saying about the community, we also looked at it as a community tourism effort. Because we felt that if the communities benefit from your tourism efforts, they would police themselves, they would get benefits. And this is why, I mean, as it is now, Castara has mushroomed into, well, what community
that community tourism.
Community tourism.
And that's the thing about it. It sells itself. It's a beautiful marketing tool. And let's face it, we had set out back in 87, 88 to actually use the island's culture as an integrated form of cultural tourism to push the tourism and the expansion of the economy. So it came very well, and it came at a beautiful. I don't know if you remembered, there was somebody had said, when food is rotten, it turns blue. But they didn't recognize that we were a lot more advanced in the thinking that you link blue food, as you said, the dasheen, when you boil it, it turns blue.
Yes, right. The trial effort was done at Lansome, close to the school compound up on the hill, and we had jazz.
Oh yeah.
We had steel band. We had calypso.
And the folk, John Arnold's folk group.
The folk groups and so on. So that, I mean, a mixture of the food and the culture. And I mean, the crowd was very, very, enthusiastic.
The other thing too, you remember it was the time when we were in the Department of Tourism thinking of developing a Tobago Jazz Festival.
Yes.
And we needed to introduce jazz as another tool to market Tobago. The rest of the Caribbean, St. Lucia and all of them had their jazz festivals. But then what we were saying, hey, you must get the resident population involved in whatever you do, because that's what happened with Blue Food.
Yeah.
We got the resident population. We didn't sit down and bring anybody in. We got the local population involved.
Yes.
And it's the way to max out your efforts if you're introducing something new.
So as you mentioned the jazz, Stanley, because remember that on that day Was it Ava Hutchinson?
Ava Hutchinson and the jazz tipple.
Tipple. So we had jazz at the Blue Food Festival, as an initial, tourism thing.
And it was well received.
Yes, well received.
Because Ava is a beautiful person on the piano. She had her good friend Faye Husbands on the the trap set, and others. And I mean to say, what we were doing though, scientifically testing the market to see if we could really push a jazz festival and not bring a world beat music and drop it on the people and say it's jazz.
And of course our steel band was there.
Oh yeah.
The national instrument.
Robert Marshall
and his boys.
Yeah.
People
We
were
had
there,
fun.
yeah, with the local dishes, and then we had Dexter was there with a big snake.
That's right.
So we had some wildlife being displayed,
right.
And the kids were looking at, playing with the snakes and so on. And but it was a beautiful experience for the first.
Too, when you think back, tourism is about repeat visits. So that we decided we're going to go, people say it's behind God back. That's all right. But what we did is we developed an event which was going to actually cement relationships. Because what it is that a foreign person coming to go to Blue Food for the first time, going to go to Lansamy, going to meet a family. Remember we were thinking about when rainfall was going to happen?
Right.
They will go and shelter onto the garage. And the people in the house will come out, will not chase them, but bond with them.
Right.
So that picture somebody coming from Germany and rain start to fall, and they in the garage, where they will come out and talk to you, so that the next time they visit, when they come back to Tobago on a repeat visit, they're going to Lansamy to see the family under whose garage they sheltered the rain when they were there the last time. And that was developing the bonding, which helped the marketing.
Yes, because a lot of tourists, when they go to a destination, if they can bond with the local people,
that's correct.
Eat what they
the
eat,
resident
drink
population.
what the resident population. I mean, they get a feel of the island.
And that's
rather
how
than
you
staying
build.
in the hotel and getting steak and whatever
Yeah.
they have in the hotel.
Well,
and that is why we were getting the hotel association. They were invited on the second year to be part of the Blue Food Festival, so they can be able to use some of the staples as meals in the hotel, right?
Because it was a little bit much. You go into a hotel and you look at the menu. Let's look at the drinks. The drink menu. You're seeing Diet Coke, Diet Sprite. They have tamarind, they have passion fruit, they have soursop, they have mango, they have guava. And nothing of those things, you know now they're making beer out of guava and cassava and these sorts of things. And it was part of our thinking back then that we would form the cooperatives. This is the other thing. You had a lot of out-migration from the villages.
Right.
People left the villages to come into town to see if they get a government work. And what we were doing at that time was trying to develop the cooperative movements so that the people who wanted to have a job would work in the cooperative, adding value to the agricultural production. So you have baby foods, cereals for the cassava and the sweet potato, etc. You have desserts, frozen pone, etc. Right? You had the drinks, and you remember the flavor wines?
Right, yes.
We said you should be able to buy a 6-pack of flavor wines. If you're doing a barbecue and you want to make your barbecue sauce, you should be able to get a 6-pack, like a 6-pack of Carib, with different flavor wines that you mix your sauce with. So that would have come out of the cooperative there. People in there would work in the cooperative effort in adding value to the agricultural production. The children get the chips, as I say. And you remember what we did with School Nutrition Company, eh?
Well, one of the ideas about the Blue Food Festival is that there would be economic activity in the village. So that, I mean, the bakeries and the delicacies that we'll be able to get from the local people, because thousands of people would have gone in to the Blue Food Festival. And this is what we are saying is that, I mean, when you have community-based tourism activities, it means that the community would benefit from the influx of people coming in there. So they would make some more money, they would spend, they might have to pay taxes on it, so the the village would benefit, the country would benefit. And I mean, this is what we were saying, that I mean, when you have those activities there, you have to market it in such a way that you get the feel of the culture, the local culture.
Well, you also think of it, our Trinidad neighbors would come and they would find, they have dashing poem, they have all various stories. And outside of there in the Blue Food, what you would have had is you would not have had the opportunity to get the taste of Tobago elsewhere, so that in actually building them into cooperatives, you then had finished products that could now be sent via the ferry or the airline to Trinidad to land up on shelves in Trinidad supermarkets. Mm-hmm. So you're expanding the reach of the production of the farmer, of those who add value, right? And that is what we required at the time, to expand the island economy and not to be dependent on the state.
Yeah, and I think that Blue Food Festival gave birth to the Taste of Tobago.
That's correct.
Because the Taste of Tobago, we had the community and people at Pembroke. Making jams and jellies and seasonings. So when we go on tour, to market Trinidad and Tobago, we will take samples of what Tobago can produce.
And it also, what it did, it maintained the traditional taste. That was what we were shooting for, that we wouldn't lose. You always talk about concante and those kinds of things. And what we were looking at too is, you remember hams at Christmas time?
Yes, local hams.
The local hams. The people in the villages needed now to have expanded what was being produced in the villages, which would cut back on the importation of the foreign items, as well as pushing the local taste.
Yes. Right? Well, my favorite memory of the Blue Food Festival was the interactive component of the first show, in that there was an element of the food part of it, the culture, the type of foods you have. There was jazz, there was the drumming, there was the folklore, the local animals. So it was all encompassing, and and that is what gave me more impetus to say, well, look, next year is going to be better and bigger. The next year, which we went to the community center. Yeah. So in that, you see, I am a community person, born in the country, Belgarden, and I know about the concante and the warap and the sweet water, sugar water. So that country thing is in me still. So if we can make some money out of it, why not?
Well, I would tell you, the best bit of the Blue Food Festival for me was being the secretary and believing that our island people would buy in to a concept and an event that would be successful in maxing out our efforts in tourism and in economic building, the economy building, and to see it happen, because there were doubters, there are doubting Thomases.
Many of them.
And I basically held on to that, and after the first year, I was blown away, because it happened and our people bought into it, and it meant to me that I had successfully piloted a program to see the expansion of communities and the economies. I am George Stanley Baird, the former Secretary of Tourism in the Tobago House of Assembly during the period 96 to 2001. It was a pleasure for me to function as the Secretary and to introduce the Blue Food Festival as my brainchild into the Department of Tourism, and the rest is history.
I am Binley Benjamin, the former manager of the Division of Tourism and the producer of the event for the Blue Food Festival. It was a pleasure being there, and I'm glad to see that it is still alive and well.
My name is John Anwell, Chief Executive Officer of the Tobago Festival Commission Limited. The Blue Food Festival began 24 years ago, yes. But one of the things I really want to talk about the fact that when it started, it was a small festival in the community. It was a community festival. When I came on board in 2003 and joined the Division of Tourism with Neil Wilson, the idea at that time was really to have a number of events that would now draw people to the island. And I know we started off in 2003, 2004 with the Tobago International Gospel Festival. But the Blue Food was going on. But it was going on in the communities, handled directly by the communities. When I came on, I think we saw the value in the festival. And so by 2004, 2005, we now formed a collaborative effort between those of us at tourism and the villagers and formed a committee to plan it. Now, in terms of talking about if the festival has improved, by far, over those years, we saw the festival grow, and it grew really big. I saw where we had to now move the location from Lansumi. We now had to come down into Bloody Bay grounds, and it grew so much that we even had to use the other side of the field to make it better for the patrons and so on. One year we maxed, I think, nearly 6,000 patrons coming to the Blue Food Festival. And in those days, it was just one day. So I would say, yes, the festival improved significantly over the years. And we tried all kinds of things, which I would certainly share with you. Yeah, to a visitor, to a tourist, the way I would say is this is a culinary festival with a difference. The gastronomic offerings here are quite unique. Here's a festival that's built on a tuber called dasheen, right? But with the dasheen, they create so many other things. Over the years, I've seen dasheen toffee, right, which is like a sweet. I've seen dasheen ice cream, dasheen fritters. You've seen dasheen chips. The dasheen ice cream is pretty interesting. And you also have where they make dasheen flour. So with the flour, people are able to make several other things. Dasheen dumpling, the whole works. And then dasheen it of itself. It's normally done in the month of October, not just by chance. It's because the hunting season opens from October. And so it's really about a lot of bush meat, a lot of other meats that, of course, very Tobagonian, the tattoo, the manico, the what have you. And you have that mixture of those kinds of meats plus the regular chicken, fish, and so on. But it's all mixed with the dasheen as the main staple. It doesn't say you can't get potato and cassava and all that kind of stuff. But over the years, I would say that people have come up with all kinds of culinary offerings, from the Blue Food staple, cakes, drops, sponge cake that mixed with the dasheen flour. So you've had several kinds of items, sweets as well as other products from the dasheen flour. Yeah, the first time was actually from the beginning of the festival. The Lansumi folks did talk to me about the choir, Signal Hill alumni, playing a real big role in the first few years, actually. And going up there and perform was really a joy. Going up in the bus and really having a great time up there performing. So we were very integral to that beginning. That is the choir, that is. very, very integral to the beginning of the festival. And as I said, it was a community festival, so that a lot of what was taking place was in the community itself. I recall up on the field in Lansumi, and I also recall one year, I think, just in front of the community center. All right. I think we had to perform either on a small stage or on the road, but it was really, really a community festival that actually grew. I mean, one of the things we have to take note is that by the time 2006, 2007, we had gone down on the field, and Lansumi did not have enough cooks. So we now had to get cooks from Bloody Bay. We now had to get cooks from Palatine. And so it progressively grew. And I must say that one of the things I really take note, I think is a really good story, the fact that we were able to get Bloody Bay, Palatine, and Lansumi to work as three great Northside villages. I thought that was a masterful thing, and I think we were able to get the cooperation and the camaraderie between all of them to make sure that happened. In several ways. One of the most significant ways the Blue Food impacts is that it has been an event that brings loads and scores of visitors to Tobago. I remember one time even looking at the demographics of the people that came. And one time we had a Muslim League posse that actually came in a bus. I mean, there were people. I mean, this attracted many persons to Tobago. There's no doubt about that. It became almost a mega culinary event in Tobago, and it became a brand that became, really significant for the north side of Tobago. So I think economically, the villagers, the areas, all of them benefited from the festival, even in post-event sales, because you had a situation where there were people now making dashing flour and selling it to people to sell for Christmas and other times of the year. It became so popular that recently I saw Tobago Blue Food, Tobago Blue Food Day in Trinidad. All right, and recently, of course, we've taken steps to now trademark the name and take claim to it from an intellectual property perspective. But in context of over the years, I would say that, I really don't want to end this discussion without talking about some of the elements of Blue Food that I think must be mentioned. One, the time of the year. So it was always raining. I've seen years when we had slush. When I say slush, everybody in black tall boots. Slush. One year we had Umbala, for example. Umbala came, and Umbala was popular on the radio at that time. And I saw where people came on the bus just to see Umbala live. It was one of our best years, the year when Umbala came there, because he brought scores of people to the place, but rain fell terribly. And he actually had on a boots, and you know what he said? He said, coming here is not even coming here to get the food and to meet people and all that. What is great about this is the picturesque landscape driving up to Bloody Bay. He said he think he can't pay for that. For the day, he thought that was the major plus for him. We've had years when we thought of cancelling it. In seeing where the festival can go now, the way I see it, especially I don't want to say post-COVID, but really post-COVID, yeah. You have a festival that had a brand. So there are several things that happened with it. There was the health and wellness side of the fact that Blue Food, Dashin, is known for potassium. It's known to work against celiac diseases and so on. So we have the health side of it that we can certainly look forward to promoting. And I think some years back, there were some persons at the university that did some work in that regard. We also have the other side, which is the festival itself. This unique set of culinary offerings that we can take advantage of. You have that aspect to also deal with in terms of promoting the island, right? Then you have the branding of the area, the branding of the communities, all right? All of those, I think we have the aspect of looking forward to that. The writing of books, the writing of cookbooks, right? We already have Isa and Chance and them doing one, but we need more, all right? We need documentaries to talk about how this festival started, all right? How a simple community festival strengthened and how it gained such hurricane force that is now become a major festival for the island, right? And then we have entrepreneurship. What are some of the angles we can look at in terms of agricultural farming? Looking at taking acres and just dealing with dasheen and producing dasheen chips, dasheen fritters. The whole works, the whole line of goods and products that we can have from dasheen. We should look at that. So I think you have the agriculture perspective, you have the tourism perspective, right? You have the entrepreneurship perspective. And I also want to say you also have the education perspective, which is another area that we can certainly look at how, and then of course the health and wellness. So you do have a health side to all of this. So moving forward, I would like to see all the agencies, all the various arms fall within some kind of policy about how we develop not just the festival to bring people, but those other things that help to grow the economy and certainly redound to the economic welfare of Tobago. What I look forward to the most, I would think, is the innovative dishes that people come up with. I look forward to seeing what new can they come with again. I remember the year when Dasheen ice cream came out was like, wow, you know. So I think the anxiety and the expectation to experience something new coming out of the Dasheen, what next they're going to come up with, I think that's what I look forward to. On the other hand, I've seen that we've tried all kinds of things to supplement that event. One year we had crayfish competition. And I was amazed to see the size of crayfish, almost the size of small lobsters. And were young people were going up in the river, and they had a big competition with that. So every year, you know, people keep trying all kinds of things. From the festival perspective, because we are now in the COVID time, we've been doing a lot of things online. So this year we're gonna have, yes, a lot of online competitions, Blue Food, Calypso competition, Blue Day, when people have to submit their how they've dressed up and how they're celebrating Blue Day. And we also have where people can actually do their own cooking at home with Blue Food, with Dasheen and so on, and submit that video. We have competitions with that too. So I think we have to take advantage also of technology. Going forward in the future, we have to see technology, videography, graphics, the whole works. Everything has to play a big role now. Even when we open and we're doing physical shows, live shows, we have to now see this part of it, the videography and the graphics and the creative writing and all that. We have to see that as playing a big, big part in moving this. I could see a documentary on Blue Food being submitted for the Pan-African Film Festival, you know, as what I will call one of the global unique tuba festivals. So I think the fact that the Blue Food now became an event that tourism, the division of tourism now added to all the events that they were doing, right? I think it's important to understand how it was now situated at a time when we can certainly benefit, right? Why do I say that? here we had gospel, we had jazz, and then later on in the year, we now had this particular festival, right? But when tourism took it over, the idea was now to form this committee, planning committee, that had persons from tourism and persons from the villages. And it was so good that what we actually had was when we had to go to Trinidad and do marketing, I would actually have somebody from the village with me, and both of us will be talking. So you had the village participation and you had the committee participation from us, the professionals inside the office. So I thought that was a model that really worked well, because what we did was kind of divided the work into committees, but these committees had villagers who were also part of the planning. Subtly, what was happening there was that there was knowledge transfer taking place, because they were able to now learn from us, see what we are doing, see how we plan things, see how we create a budget, see how we plan into committees, how we delegate and so on. They were now able to see that, right? So I would say that I thought is a significant thing for us to talk about in terms of a Blue Food storyline, that we have to talk about how we were able, the Tobago Assembly was able to, from the division, create this working committee that was able to really add some spunk to how we plan events in Tobago. I'm John Arnold, CEO of the Tobago Festivals Commission Limited, and you're viewing the Tobago Festivals Network.
This is Lance for me, and I'm Barrington Ned.
I am Casilda Ned Chance. I'm the Dashing Flower Extraordinaire.
My name is Reynald Chance, and this is the Blue Food Festival.
The Blue Food Festival was started in 1988 because the Lansome Village Council was planning to raise funds. Because one of the things about Lansome, it is very difficult to raise funds, and especially to get sponsorship from anywhere. So we were sitting there contemplating what we will do to raise funds, when Mr. Stanley Beard came driving through Lansome, spotted us at the community center, came inside. He introduced himself, and the discussion started. We told him what we were about, and he said he went to St. Lucia and he saw them using the blue crab to do all kind of delicacy. And he knew where Lansome is famous for the dasheen. So there is where the Blue Food Festival, the discussion started. So after Mr. Stanley Beard left, I took it upon myself to go to the villagers and explain to them what we want to do. And I went to my sister, explained to her, and she said, okay, leave it to her. She will come up with the concept. And there she started to set up the dasheen flour and start experimenting with the dasheen pone, the bread, the cake, all these different things. She started experimenting with that, leading up to the festival. The secretary of the village council at that time was Tanisha Hernandez. We had Reynald Chance, Andy Chance, Gaston Ned, Garfield Ned. That was the team that met with Mr. Stanley Beard, and the Blue Food concept developed from there. After 3 years, it was moved to Bloody Bay. From the time the Blue Food Festival started, after going through Lansome and inviting the people in Lansome to be part of it, I journeyed to Bloody Bay and invited 2 young women who were single mothers to come into the festival so that they could get an opportunity to make some money for their children. So the concept of Bloody Bay, it was not the village council. I invited only 2 people to be part of the festival. After it was moved to Bloody Bay, then the division of tourism invited Bloody Bay, and then a couple years after, they invited Palette Bay.
Well, when my brother came and told me about what they organized, they were talking, and they want to have this festival, and they want to do things with dasheen. I The first thing came to my mind was the dasheen flour, because you know in early days we used to do cassava flour and all these things. So I said in baking, the cake especially, you will need the flour. So I decided to get the dasheen, prepare it, and at that time I used a mortar to pong it, and then you sift it and get the flour. And that's where I started, because on the first day of the festival, I made a lot of things from the flour. Right? I made fruit cake, bread, sweet bread, drops, pone, punch of cream, and punch. That was the first day. You don't have to put them in the fridge. They last a long time even out of the fridge. Some people use the dasheen itself even to make the cake, but I use the flour. Instead of the normal flour, I use the dasheen flour to make your cakes. The preparation for blue food starts about 3 months before, because the preparation of the dasheen, you have to peel it, wash it, and then put it in the sun to dry. And you have to make sure that you have proper sun, if not, all will spoil. So when the sun, you have it good sun, and you dry the dasheen, and then you grind it in a mill. But first I used to pong it in the mortar. So that is how long it is, because you have to take some days before it dries. And when after drying, you pong it in the mortar, and you keep sipping it, and you keep ponging again until you get the amount. And I'm telling you, that does make real good. All the products you make from the flour does be nice.
Well, the biggest change in the blue food, the way I structured the blue food, I didn't expect much change, because I put it in such a way that the blue food will go on in this way for a very long time. The only change is when they remove it from Lansome to Bloody Bay, and instead of the whole community participating, then they only have a few people and they turn it into a blockorama. So that was the only change. But the concept of the blue food, where we created our stuff and so, that part of it hasn't changed. There's another change, and it's the name. Now you will know Mount Pleasant Sport, you will know Boko Kodres. But just because the festival came from Lansome, they changed the name to Tobago Blue Food. One of the better parts of the festival you don't see is the actual preparation leading up to the festival day. To be really prepared for the festival, it will take you 3 months before the festival. There's where you do your preparation with the dasheen, getting it dry, getting it turned into flour. On the day itself, people will be up from at least 3 o'clock in the morning. There are times when they do breakfast, and you are cooking in preparation for 10 o'clock in the morning. So when you pass through the village, you could have stopped at any entrance and get something to buy, because there's also your cake and your different delicacies and stuff like that. So on that day, you're sure when you're in Lansome, there's things to eat. I remember the first blue food with this young lady, Miss Hutchinson, I think she was, blowing her trumpet up there at the playground. It was one of the most beautiful sights. That was so nice. I remember when we had the mini zoo, there was this guy, Glennon Sharp, there with his big snake. Snake could be at least 18 feet long. And when he opened it on the stage and people saw it, the whole place got silent. It was the first time people had seen a snake as big as that. But Miss Hutchinson, she stepped away and she looked at it, and then she just got back on her trumpet and she started to blow.
I like to see action. I like to get up early to see everybody moving. What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Let me keep going. If I could help you to do something, let me keep going. And I go in from the beginning to the end and come back in the center. I like starting for the blue food. Let me look nice.
Where the festival going, I think the products out of the festival is what is most important. And what we were doing, we were trying to get the scratch out of the dasheen flour. If we were able to do that, then you could properly market the dasheen flour, which was one of the areas where we wanted to go. So it will go international. But the dasheen flour is just like the dasheen. If you use it with your bare hand just like that, it could still scratch you like if you rub the normal dasheen on your hand. On Blue Food Day itself, sometimes I am not there because I was instrumental in selecting the people coming. Besides the jazz band that Mr. Stanley Beard brought with Mr. Hutchinson, John Arnold's choir, I was instrumental in getting them. At that time, they were one of the hottest thing around. The United Sisters, we went for them because Beulah Bob was from Lansumi. Carlston Kerr is also from Lansumi. So we look for acts that were people who were from Lansumi. It was really good. We had Hijack, who is also from Lansumi. The entertainment was really good. It was really a nice evening. And the jazz mixed with calypso, when you're talking entertainment, that will always come to mind. Come to Lansumi Blue Food Festival. It is something unique, something you have never seen before. What has happened here with the festival has never happened anywhere in the world. So you are coming to something new. We are using the dasheen to create all kinds of delicacies, all kinds of staple things that you could think about. So come and experience the Lansumi Blue Food Festival.
Lansumi Blue Food Festival is something that you have never seen, or even maybe some people never heard about it. So I'm inviting you to come to see the lots of delicacies that we are making from the dasheen.
Nice. You have to be careful at this point. If you're going to do it when it's hot, you need to be careful. If you leave it to cool, well, then it's easier. Yeah, but the viscosity comes from both the starchiness from the dasheen and also from the sugar.
Story there for talk, but time not there. Hey, so now you have a little more context about the Tobago Blue Food story. We go see you next time on the Tobago Festivals Network as the story continues.